Hello, everybody, and welcome to Red Wings Daily, presented to you by Fan Arch. I'm your host, Kirk MckNight, coming to you from the Pacific Northwest, 2,454 miles from Little Caesars Arena. Now, speaking of LCA, the Red Wings return to action this afternoon against the Tampa Bay Lightning before going 7 out of their next 8 on the road. We'll get to that in a couple of segments, but talking on the Red Wings, they're on a 2-game losing streak, so hopefully this afternoon they can make amends and get a win against a solid Tampa Bay Lightning before they have to take on 7 out of the next 8 on the road. They're going to have the home and the way with the Bruins, and then they're going to have 6 straight on the road, facing mostly the Western Conference. But it's a long stretch. We'll get to that in just a moment. First, I want to talk about Alexander Debrincat. Now, Debrincat is once again in one of those goal streaks. The first 7 points of the season for Alexander Debrincat were just assists. He had not scored a goal, and then he went on a tear. He went 4 straight games with a goal, and he's had 2 other instances of 3 games where he scored a goal in all 3 of those straight, including one set of 2 games where he had 2 goals each for 2 straight games. So Debrincat obviously getting hot. He's tied with Larks for most points on the team. He's one of the premier forwards in the league, and people are talking about. So we're just hoping that can spread a little bit out among the rest of the other lines for the Wings, and see if we can get a little bit more offense. Giving up 6 goals Wednesday night to the Blue Jackets definitely wasn't anything that the Red Wings wanted to have happen. They sure would probably like to have a lot more offense, especially in those situations where they're giving up 2 goals within 30 seconds of each other. To get a little bit more offensive confidence really goes a long way in those situations, because you know you can get it together and regroup. So, moving forward, we're gonna hope for the best and see what can happen with the Red Wings as they go on the road. Now, it being Friday, Black Friday, as a matter of fact, I am actually wearing a Black Friday purchase from 25 years ago. That's right, folks. 7 a.m. on Black Friday after Thanksgiving Day 2000, I went to Sears and bought this leather jacket. And it still fits me, sort of. I'm not going to stand up to show you how well it fits me, but in the spirit of Black Friday, I'd like to show you that people still have that sentiment. People still like to race out to the stores to get those great buys, but I feel like, well, Amazon has kind of done away with that, which is fine. No problem. Saves for a lot less headache. Saves those workers who just dread it. 364 days out of the year, they're thinking on the calendar, there's Black Friday. So, I think Amazon's taken a little bit of the heat off of it. But in the spirit of Black Friday, you may have heard me say on the show before that I'm the author of The Voices of Hockey, Broadcasters Reflect on the Fastest Game on Earth. It's a book that came out in 2016 in hardcover, and then again in paperback in 2017, but it just recently came out with a whole new updated edition on Audible. But Red Wings fans, you may be like, why are you schlepping your book right now? Well, as a Red Wing fan, as a longtime Red Wing fan, you'll have to realize that the Red Wings are very much a big, huge part of this book. So you can see why. I used to tell people, go pick up the book, if for anything, to have it on your bookshelf and facing everybody, or to have it in your man cave or whatever you will, or on your coffee table, just so that people can show some of the best moments of the Red Wings, and Bloody Wednesday is definitely one of those. So you got Vernon Clock and Waugh on the cover, but like I said, it's available in Audible now, so I would try to find that updated, all new material, stuff updated for the Red Wings, including Ken Kal, Ken Daniels, and Paul Woods. But that's been my plug for Black Friday, and I will finish it right now because we still got to get back to the action. Now, it being free-for-all Friday, I'd like to talk about other things going on in the league and the Vegas Golden Knights. You see, I lived in Vegas for 42 years. In fact, before the Vegas Golden Knights came to town, I was kind of a fish out of water being a Red Wings fan. And really, a city like Vegas with all the tourists around, you don't really have a fan base to attach yourselves to. A lot of people went over for the Kings, then the Ducks came into the league, and maybe some people liked the Ducks because it was cute. I don't know. But, Vegas is a place of a lot of migration from the north, especially during the winter seasons and winter months. So you would have your fair share of transplants from Canada and upper Midwest who wanted to get away from the cold for the winter. So it would be kind of like a grab bag of fans. But it's established itself as a strong community, Vegas has. And one thing I've been noticing as I've kind of followed the Golden Knights on their journey this season is that they have now lost 8 games in overtime and a shootout, basically. They've gone 9 times post regulation and have come away with a win only once. And that was on a total fluke. That was the second game of the season against the Sharks. And the Sharks goaltender, I'm going to butcher his name if I even try, but let's just say that he basically gift wrapped and handed the Golden Knights that win. That is their only win out of 9 post regulation. So I've been telling people on these chats, it's kind of like Paul Newman says to Tom Cruise in The Color of Money. He's sitting there showing him. He showed his hand a little too much, was in the pool halls hustling people and kind of broke out a little too soon. And Paul Newman wasn't appreciating it. And Tom Cruise says, I made you money tonight. And Paul Newman says, you lost me money. So that is the mentality I have in the Golden Knights, because a lot of people sit there and say, well, they've gained 8 points. No, they've lost 8 points. With those 8 overtime losses, and Cassidy himself said, these overtime losses may cost us a chance to get into the playoffs, and I agree. And a lot of people with that glass half full mentality, that's fine. Keep your spirits up. But as a person who follows the Golden Knights and really knows what they're capable of doing, those are in reality 8 points lost. But let's talk back to the Red Wings, because they're really what's on everybody's mind right now in Detroit. And the Wings, after they played today against the Lightning, like I mentioned, they got a home and away against the Bruins, first in Boston, then back in Detroit, and then they go on the road. So looking at their road ahead, the Red Wings are going to, after that home and away with the Bruins, they're going to face the Columbus Blue Jackets, who they beat 4-3 in overtime just a little bit earlier this week. Then they go to Seattle. So now we got the jump from Columbus to Seattle. The Red Wings did beat the Kraken at Little Caesars Arena 4-2. Then they go up a little bit and hop the border over to Vancouver. Vancouver, the Canucks are 10-12-2 on the season. Then they're going to shoot back over into Alberta to take on the 2 teams of Alberta. First, they're going to take on Calgary. Calgary's 8-14-3, last place in the Pacific Division. And then they take on the Edmonton Oilers, who are 10-10-5. But the Red Wings have actually beaten the Oilers already this season 4-2. Then they finish up everything in Chicago. Obviously going to be a homecoming again for Debrincat and Kane. People are going to be nostalgic, maybe a little bit emotional, kind of like they were February 25th, 2024, when Kane had his first game back. We talked about that in yesterday's show. But let's skip back a little bit to Edmonton, because, like I said, the Red Wings beat Edmonton 4-2 early in the season, and Edmonton right now 10-10-5. That is not satisfactory to the people of Edmonton, and it's definitely not satisfactory to the players of Edmonton. So for today's no-cap recap, we're going to go to Leon Draisaitl. And I probably butchered that name too, but I can't imagine anybody ever getting that name right. So now, earlier this week, speaking of struggling Edmonton Oilers, they lost 8-3 to Dallas. And, Dallas is not in the same division as the Oilers, but they seem to find each other in the postseason. So an 8-3 loss this early in the year, and I believe that was in Edmonton, stings really hard. So following that 8-3 loss, Draisaitl was asked about how concerning it was for the defensive side to be out of his grasp. And this is what he said. It's very concerning. Everything is concerning, though. We're nearly 30 games in and still don't seem to have it down or know what we are. I don't really know what to say. It's just not good enough right now. We're in an okay position right now. Not where we want to be, but okay. But the time is now. Right now, not tomorrow. We've got to be better. We just have to be better. We're playing on our heels a lot of nights. We're very clearly not on the same page as a group, and then all of a sudden a lot of things get exposed that when you are on the same page, they don't get exposed. We're just not intact right now. We're not in sync as a group. We have to figure that part out. Now, we're going to throw that into the AI translator. Now, I don't think the FCC is going to ping us for saying the word shet, but apparently that is a Gen Z slang word. So just know that I'm not cursing. It's mad sus, bruh. Everything's sus, though. We're like almost 30 games deep and still ain't got it figured out. Or no, WTF we're doing. I ain't even know what to say, fam. It's just straight up trash. We're chilling in an okay spot. Not where we want to be, but whatever. But it's go time. Like now, not tomorrow. We got to step it up. We just got to be better, period. We're straight up playing scared most nights. We're def not vibing as a squad, and then boom, all our weaknesses get exposed. That wouldn't even show up if we were in sync. We're just a mess. We're not on the same wavelength as a team. We got to sort that shit out ASAP. Now, folks, I hope you have a very good weekend, and here's to the Red Wings, hopefully taking a good W maybe today against the Lightning to set them on that vessel as they go over to Boston and then come back and then go on that really long road trip. So, as I like to always say, once again, LGRW from the PNW. This is Red Wings Daily, presented to you by FanArch. I'm your host, Kirk MckNight, and have a great weekend.